right, welcome everyone. This is Digital Tools for Teaching. It's a monthly series that I run and the topic changes every month. So this month we have online reading collections. My name is Jamie Cobes. I am a manager of tutor training and digital literacy for Wisconsin Literacy. Today, with our time together, here is what I would like to cover. First, I'd just like to address how digital reading might be different from reading in print, some of the benefits of it, and some considerations that you want to make before using online reading. Then I will demo several online reading collection resources that I have for you. And we'll end with a little bit of time for you to explore each of these resources and then share out with each other anything that you discovered, any hesitations or questions that you have about using those in your teaching or with learners. So first, I know I asked a lot of you who joined to share where you're joining us from, but if you could now in the chat, share anything that you can about the kind of readers that you work with. So you might use descriptions of the level of reading that they need or their language, anything about their readiness, how ready are they to read, or maybe they're reluctant, anything about their motivation or supports that they need or that you're already using. All right, so I am seeing a range, but a common thread that I'm seeing right now is that a lot of us are working with English language learners. Some of them are pre-literate, some of them are literate in their native languages, and a mixture of levels. Thank you. If you have more to share, please continue sharing, but that is helpful to me to know that some of these collections are definitely could be what you're looking for. And if they're not, maybe we can always do a follow-up topic with digital tools for teaching. All right, so digital reading. Some of the benefits that I think of when I think of offering reading that is digital on a screen as opposed to print is that it can be equally multisensory and sometimes more multisensory. So, you know, when we read in print, we do get that tactile sensation of touching the pages, flipping the pages, and seeing images if there are some. But we can also get those sensations from reading online, from clicking. Sometimes there's like a swipe movement for moving pages or scrolling up and down. And then the images can be very vivid online. In addition, you can get some great engaging extension activities with the online reading collections that I'll show you. So sometimes there are videos that go along with it. Sometimes there are comprehension activities that come right with the online reading collection. I think they are easily shareable and they are most often, because I'm going to show you free resources, they are cost friendly. So we can share them and have multiple copies if we have multiple students. They can also be considered portable and discreet. Now, granted, a learner has to have a device on which to read digital reading or a digital text. But if it is a phone or a tablet and a learner doesn't necessarily want to be seen reading a low-level text in public, it can be very discreet. It just looks like they're looking at something on their phone. And then I also think being portable is a great way to make sure that we are always fitting reading in. So if we're on the go, if we're commuting somewhere and we can read on the bus or something like that. So those are what I would consider the benefits of digital reading. Some considerations that you might want to make as you're incorporating digital text into your tutoring or your teaching is, of course, that access. So how will learners access that text? Do they have a device on which they're going to access it? Will they be using your device? And then also, what digital skills would be required for accessing that type of text? Digital reading is a slightly different act than reading in print. So it does offer us opportunities to explicitly teach some digital skills. ideally skills that are going to transfer to other contexts. So if I could get us all to think about that momentarily to prep us for looking at these online reading collections. I'll show you an example here. It's an online article, Lonely Giraffe Moves to Better Home. If I'm going to bring this text into a lesson with one of my learners, what digital skills could I teach them for reading online? These are fantastic ideas. Yes. So the mere act of scrolling can sometimes be a skill that you need to teach someone. Following a link, how to zoom in, adjusting the letter size, the audio icon, ability to change text size. Thank you. Yeah. So, and I'll just demonstrate a lot of what you already said. Sometimes the lesson of where to look on a page can be very valuable because there is a lot, particularly on a sidebar, that is distracting. So what is it that we're reading when we read an online article? And like many of you said, the opportunity to teach some of these icons or these accessibility features too. So these arrows are going to advance a carousel of images. This audio icon can help you listen to the text aloud, and these A's that get increasingly larger can help you change the font size. On other reading collections I'll show you today, there might be other skills. So for example, looking at a table of contents or using some search filters to find the text you're actually looking for. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to kind of do a lightning round of online reading collections, and then I will share in the chat a handout with links to all of these, and I'll give us some time to explore each of them, and then we'll come back and share what you have found. If you are watching the recording of this, you will have access to this handout in the description of the video below. So the first one is ABC English. ABC English is actually a full curriculum, but the founder, Jen Christensen, is generous enough to offer free full previews of a lot of the books that she produces. So this includes the phonics stories, the reading skills stories, and easy English patterns. So when you use the link I'll provide you, it takes you to the books page of ABC English. Like I said, the phonics books, you would click on full preview, reading skills stories, and easy English patterns. Now, it is still worth it to pay for this curriculum if you can, because I think she offers some great lessons and some different versions of these books. But I'll show you when you click on the full preview, it is in a flip book form. So this is what I was talking about. You may have to teach learners how to click here with these arrows to turn the pages. But really great, vivid photos. These easy reading, easy English readers are just sort of one word or they build to the end. See, do you want chicken? Yes, please. Do you want potatoes? Yes, please. So that is ABC English. A next resource is called Adult ELL Pathway to Literacy, Theme-Based Stories. This is an organization, I believe, out of Indiana. They offer these stories in 4 levels, so A, B, C, and D. And you're also going to see F on there, but I only mentioned the first 4 because their site includes a reading diagnostic and some assessments to help you determine what level a learner might be starting at. They also offer audio versions and activities for a lot of these stories. So when you use the link, this is where it will take you. It says theme-based stories at the top, but I want to point out that the theme-based stories also correlate to their theme-based vocab photo banks and theme-based student practices. So be sure to use the menu on the left to help you navigate with that. I'll also point out that the stories included here are written by members of this organization, Pathway to Literacy, but they also take them from other sources. So the themes are health, food, community, employment, family, housing, school and education, and healthcare. Oh, and there's more. Daily life, success at work, clothing and shopping, financial literacy, and then there's some mini themes. The learning assessment and the diagnostics, as I mentioned, are also here on the left-hand side. Also want to mention Bow Valley Readers. This one people might be familiar with. We've been recommending this for a long time, and then it suddenly disappeared or was harder to find on the internet, and the links that we were sharing weren't working. So this link that I'll provide you takes you to a Google Doc that has all of the titles of Bow Valley Readers all together in one spot. But they are also included in that previous resource that I just showed you, the Adult ELL Pathway to Literacy. These are designed for beginning English language learners. And they come in Google Slide form, which is great because it scaffolds some of that vocabulary for readers before you get to the text. So Amir Gets Sick, the no text version. And then there's some comprehension questions, and then Amir Gets Sick with text. So again, this link is just to have all of the Bow Valley College readers in one place, but they are also used in the Adult ELL Pathway to Literacy collection. The next resource is called Booksmart. It was formerly called Read Life Bookshelf, and it was a partnership with the Barbara Bush Foundation. This is originally created for children and family literacy. So you can create an account. You do not have to create an account, but you can, and it keeps track of your progress. When you begin that account, it will ask you how old you are or what kind of material you're looking for. And so the options are by age, and then the highest it goes is 18 plus. So if you work with adult learners, as many of us do, I would encourage them to choose 18 plus. Then once you get into the library, you can filter by age, but then your choices are 3 to 12. And so that will sort of correspond with a grade level equivalent. You can also filter by language. I'll show you that briefly. There are some other languages offered. So I would click read up here at the top, although it looks like I'm already there. And then this pink button on the right is how I can filter. So I can filter by age, and then my language options are English, Spanish, and Ukrainian. This search box here really only allows you to search by title. One of the things I think Booksmart provides, as opposed to some of the other collections that I'll show you, is it does provide some longer text. So if you have learners that are really looking to read like chapter books, maybe simple chapter books, but still books, this is a great collection for that. The next collection is called ESL Story Banks. This is a resource originally created by Literacy Minnesota, and then World Education partnered with them to do what they call an EdTech Makerspace project. So they gathered adult educators who use this resource, and those adult educators created digital supplemental activities for them. So the original resource that you'll have links to, you can see is PDF form. So yes, you could share this digitally with learners, but you can also print it out as a paper version. The digital supplement link will look like this. So it is a collection of all of the stories plus the activities. So if I click on Max Has a Job, I get an image that goes with the text. I get the text itself broken out sentence by sentence. And then the practice activities are here. So there's a sentence builder that's built with Padlet. This one is just a preview, so it's not going to let me move these, but it's like a sentence scramble activity that students could complete. If you want to make a copy, then that one you can manipulate the objects. There's a phonics practice, a word families practice, and then a vocabulary with the color vowel chart practice as well. Then for each story, there's an opportunity to read it again, but this time in paragraph form to work on fluency. And then there's always a typing practice. So that's an additional opportunity to reread the text, but also to work on typing the story. The next online collection is called Reading Skills for Today's Adults. I will provide you with 2 additional links. I found it a little bit difficult on their website to figure out what their reading levels mean because they are leveled. So there's a placement chart link that I'll give you too that explains that the reading levels are not grade levels. They also have reading skills for healthcare workers, so very specific work topic. Show you quickly what this means. Big notice that you can't access the doc files right now on Google Chrome, but if you're using something else, that's okay. And then levels across the top. If I go to level 1, for example, it has the title of the stories here. One thing I like about this is you get 3 different versions of a recorded reading. So you can play these as students are reading the text. The first one is very slow and encourages a reader to read along with the voice. The second and the third readings get progressively faster so that you can work on practicing fluency. And then you can see here there are additional activities. This was also the topic of an EdTech makerspace. So there are Wakelets with additional activities here as well. All right, one more reading collection is called Unite for Literacy. This one was also created for children and family literacy. So if you are working with adults, you should know that some of them can seem very childish, and if learners are not using them to read with children, you might want to avoid those. One thing I like with Unite for Literacy is the pictures are absolutely great, very vivid, and then it offers narration both in English and other languages. And sometimes you can switch that text to other languages. So if you're working with adults who are literate in their first language, they could read in both languages. So I'll give you a glimpse of this. You can do a search. Right now, I think that search is mostly by title or keyword, but there are categories. They're in icon format, so you kind of have to figure out what those categories mean. Let's see, let's choose animals that fly. So I can get it in English. Can I get it in another language? I could also get it in Indonesian. Wonder if I can show you other languages. Okay, so here are the other languages that some, not all of these texts are in. So you could do a filter search for one of these languages as well. But let's go back to animals that fly. Again, I can click to flip open the book. This I means that I can see the text in English. If I clicked on the I for Espanol, now I can see the text in Spanish. And then you would want to teach learners too that this little icon means now I can hear it. So it can be read to me.
I bet you know owls fly.
And then in Espanol.
Te aseguro que sabes que los búhos vuelan.
And like I said, the pictures are great in these books, so I'll just flip through a couple more. All right, and I have inundated you now with a lot of different sources. I have just two more, and these are actually paid subscriptions. However, if you belong to a Wisconsin Literacy Member Agency, this is one of the benefits that we offer. So you can have access to News for You and The Change Agent. They're both online magazines, I would call them. So News for You is current events, news, just like it suggests, at a lower reading level, more accessible to adult learners. The Change Agent is an online magazine. It's actually written by adult learners for adult learners. So every year they accept submissions of writing, and then they publish that. And they also have thematic issues. So if I go here under issues, you can see the most recent one is awareness, adaptation, and advocacy, navigating learning differences and disabilities, digital tools at work, school, and everyday life. One thing that I like about the Change Agent, but that isn't super obvious as you're trying to navigate this site, is if you go under resources first, there's lots of free things. So if you aren't a Wisconsin Literacy member, you can still have access to some of these things. But this, I think, is the most helpful tool, the index with article reading levels and audio. So I can search all issues, no matter the topic. I can search it by title, but I can also search it by level. With the Change Agent, the level is a grade level correspondent. So if I click on level, it then sorts it from 1 all the way up to, I believe it's 12 is the highest. And then you can see the icons here on the left. When there's an audio version available, you'll get those headphone icons. Okay, so those were kind of the bonus ones, but now I'm going to share with you in the chat a link to the handout. What I would like to offer now is about, let's go with seven minutes to explore at least one of these resources using that handout. And then after 7 minutes, I'll invite us all back to share something that you found, maybe a text that you think would work with a learner, how you're envisioning using one of these resources, or any questions or comments that you have about them. I'm going to invite you to share, but I'm going to try a little bit of a different way. So I created this spinny wheel. Hopefully you all can see it. And I'm just going to spin the wheel, and whatever resource it lands on, I'll invite people to unmute and tell me if you looked at that and anything you want to share about it. Here we go. So Adult ELL Pathway to Literacy resource. This was the theme-based stories. Anybody want to share something about this?
Yeah, I can share. Hi, Jamie. This is Ina, Literacy Network. That was the one that I was really interested in and that I didn't know yet. I work with pre-literate students in one class, and we don't have technology in the classroom, and I think their digital skills are not there to actually look at this themselves. But I love when there are stories with lots of pictures that give a good idea on how to talk about a certain topic, and the students really enjoy learning through a story. So I specifically look because I want to talk with them about Thanksgiving. They had some questions about it, or actually they didn't know what it was. So I was able to find a holiday story and kind of looked at how they um, are teaching about the topics, and it's giving me some ideas on how I can approach it for them next week. So that's what I looked at. But I love that they have this really low level available on this website.
Awesome. Thank you, Ina, for sharing.
Yeah.
Anyone else? All right, I'm going to spin again. First, I'll take this one off the wheel. Did anybody look at the Change Agent? This was the online magazine. It was the last resource I showed. Going once, going twice. All right, we'll spin again. How about Booksmart? Booksmart used to be the online, oh, what was it called?
Hi,
Read
this
Life
is
Bookshelf.
Mary. Yeah, I looked at Booksmart mostly because I know the people I work with would be more comfortable reading to their children and sharing. I found it really pretty good. I found the stories nice. Um, I also like the fact that you could change the font size and do a little bit of playing in it, and that they could read some of the books. Like I particularly looked at Peanut Butter and Jelly because it's a song, and I figured they'd have that cadence. And they could read it in English, they could read it in Spanish and share it because I think they're more comfortable that way than reading with other adults, but to read to their children, they get a little help from the kids even.
Thank you, Mary. That's great feedback. And that reminds me too, that's something I did not show, but you can, like you said, change the font. You can even change the background color. So if it's easier for people to read white text on a black background, that's an option as well. All right, let's spin this one more time. News for You. That one I feel like probably people knew already. So if you're using it and you have a comment, that would be great too.
Yeah, this is Ina. We use News for You at Literacy Network. I don't use it currently because I really just teach levels that this is too high for, but definitely for higher intermediate and advanced levels, this is a great resource, and I have used it in the past for these levels.
Thanks.
Hi, this is Lisa. I've also used it a little bit with my students. I actually started using it more recently when we got a message from Baraboo Area Literacy Council about the availability of it. And I found that the students really like it. Like the articles are very interesting. We like that some of the vocabulary words are highlighted, and you can even listen to it being read out loud to get the pronunciation. But looking at it today, I see there are some other features, that I hadn't seen before, like puzzles and word search, and a lot of teacher tips. So I want to explore it a little bit more deeply.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, I will spare you the spinning noise again, but we are left with looks like 5 resources. So if there's another resource on this wheel or any other comments that you'd like to share, please feel free.
Hi, this is Charlotte. I looked at the reading skills for today's adults because I was intrigued by the 3 different levels of reading. And so I wanted to see if I could find a basic enough text that my beginning, or she's been learning English for a couple years now, but doesn't have a lot of practice in it. So I wanted to see how low the reading levels would go, and I was really pleased to find one about 911, and they used the concept of hero in it, and because we're learning in our text, intercambio text, the concept of what is a person like, and being a hero could be, you know, one of the attributes or adjectives we could use. I looked at the different activities that went with the short passage. I liked the fact that they could be the 3 different types of levels or speeds of reading, but then I also really liked the activities that went with them. The pre-reading asked a couple of like warm-up questions to the concept of 911, and then listed a vocabulary, but like a reasonable size of vocabulary, you know, so it wasn't like too much, and then it provided definitions already for the person. Then the post level had a few questions, and I liked the fact that they were leveled. They went from literal to the last question was, why is the person a hero? So a person has to really use the text to synthesize the information and then basically evaluate and place a judgment, you know, is the person a
Right.
hero? And then here's something I don't see a lot is writing, asking the person to choose between 2 prompts. And one prompt was just a simple summary retell. Another one was to talk about something in their own lives that happened with 9/11. So I liked the breadth of resources, I guess I'd have to say. So I'm excited to go into that and see what else I can find.
Thank you, Charlotte. I'm not sure that I even did that in-depth of exploration on those activities, so that's great to hear from you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments on that resource or others?
Yeah, just me one more time.
Mhm.
I use ABC English a lot for my real low level group, and I love ABC English, and I really love the stories and the pictures they select for those stories. So again, I don't have tech in that room, but I will print out the photos, and I still have to do some pre-work with the students in order to read the story, but then usually it's pretty accessible. So I love ABC English just for the real low-level ESL learners.
I had forgotten that you used that, so thank you for that testimony. That's
Yeah.
helpful. All right, if there are no other comments or questions, want to remind you that this is a monthly series. So next month, I'm switching up the format a little bit. I'm going to do a makerspace of our own. I'm going to bring back a tool I've talked about a lot in the past, and actually it's where the spinning wheel comes from. But Flippity is a free site. It has lots of different templates where you can create online activities for learners. The spinning wheel being one of them, but also online flashcards or like manipulative sorting activities. So in next month's session, I'll just quickly demo how to create an activity, and then we'll have time to make our own activities and then share them with each other so we can be inspired by that.